afternoon. I'm Carolina Cortes, and today I'm going to explain an amazing book for children. The name is The Jungle Book and the author is the Rudyard Kipling. So the first point is about introduction and analysis. First of all, my presentation is about the book The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling, and I'm going to discuss some points. First point is about the concept framework. The second one is semantic framework. The third one is a linguistic framework. And the last one is a conclusion. And also I'm going to analyze the further discussion. So the first point is about contextual framework. It's a presentation of the author. So the author, he born in 30 December in 1865 and he died in 18 January in 1936. He was an English short story writer, poet and a novelist. He wrote tales and poems of British soldiers in India and a story for children. He was born in Bombay and in the Bombay president of British India. And he was taken by his family to England when he was 5 years old. Kipling's works of fiction include The Jungle Book. He is a regarded and major innovator in the art of the short story. His children's books are enduring classic of children's literature, and one of the critics described his work as exhibition and versatility and luminous narrative gift. Kipling was one of the most popular writers in England, in both prose and verse. And in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, he was awarded of the Nobel Prize in Literature, making him the first English language writer to receive the prize, and is the youngest received to the date. Among of the other honors, he was sounded out for the British Poet Laureate and won the several occasions for the literature novels. Literary movement. English realism. The Victorian era. 1837-1901. Realism is the literary movement that started in France in the 1850s as the reaction against Romanticism, and which tried to show life as it was in literature all over Europe. Also, the concept is also questioned by some critics. It is useful terms to understand the general spirit of the second half of the 19th century as a reaction of Romanticism, as a stress of the reason and positives and the faith in the power of the artist to show reality. In England, this movement conceived approximately with the Victorian era, a period ruled by Queen Victoria in 1837 and 1901, which meant the height of the British Empire and the Industrial Revolution. Many critics prefer to talk about the Victorian age, since many of the best English novelists of the period are not realistic, in the same sense as their French or Russian counterparts. But whether more of the less realistic novels are certainly the most important literature of both of the period. Excellent novel, written by the expanding educated middle class that had developed with economic prosperity. Example, Walter Scott in 1771 and 1852. Also, we have Jane Austen in 1775 and 1877. Charles Dickens in 1812 and 1872. Also, we have William and Master in 1811 and 1863. And some Victorian points worth mentioning are, we have also Robert and Elizabeth Browning, husband and wife, Gerald Manley and Hopkins in 1804, and also we have Rudyard Kipling is our author in 1865 and 1937. Literary genres. Adventures. Kipling enjoyed himself some adventurous story. His tale of the center of ancient Orient travels going to the foreign lands and risking all for the thrill and reward of dangerous circumstances. And Ricky Tickins got all the adventure of the Indiana Jones flicks, just on a smaller, more domestic scale. The garden might not sound like an understanding wilderness from the human perspective, but when you jerk your view down not to the mongoose size, suddenly the very same garden changes into the jungle. The Mudaman backyard becomes a land fraught with the dangerous such a poisonous snake and the summer storm that act like a flows. And our protagonist, Mogus, must break then or dead if he is to keep the British family safe and win the prize of comfortable life. Let the adventure begins. And we also have to mention another possible allusion under this category, looking at the bones of the story. We have got an intrepid hero who killed a scary male monster and followed a second scary family monster back to the her later to kill her. Sounds to us to look like a beautiful, the prototypical English adventure story if there ever was one. Social context. The author writes in the third person from the point of view of the central characters. The characters are generally anthropomorphic animals except one or two where the human perspective are used. The characters are clearly outlined and hence almost two-dimensional in nature. This is perhaps necessary because this work was intended for the younger audiences used to the grappling with the shaded nuances or complex, fleshed-out characters. Moral tone of honesty, determination, and rudeness, and the prevalent values of the honest Britons, as it was a part of the propaganda of the time, are strongly prevalent. On the one hand, the Jungle Book tales are innocent, lively stories filled with talking animals and bird dangers and moral conundrums. Their esotericism does not necessarily impart any political message. The names of the characters and the jungle setting evoke the mystery and magic of India without implying moral inferiority of Indian cultures. On the other hand, Kipling's story epitomizes the underlying themes and assumptions of the new imperialists by portraying the dark-skinned people like Mowgli as being raised by wolves in the jungle and communing with beasts. Kipling suggests that Indians are primitive, savage, and animalistic, and therefore subhumans. The jungle culture is pitted against the modern Europe industrialized city. The juxtaposition of the civilization as severity is at the heart of the Jungle Book and one of these core themes. The Jungle Books can be regarded as classic stories told by an adult to children, but they also constitute a complex literary work of art in which the whole of Kipling's philosophy of life is expressed in miniature. They are the best known for the Mowgli's story, the tale of a baby abandoned and brought up by wolves, educated in the ways and secrets of the jungle by Kaa, the python Balu the bear, and the burger the black panthers. The story is a mixture of fantasy, myth, and magic, and underpinned by Kipling's abiding preoccupation with the theme of the self-discovery on the nature of the love. Other opinions about the reading. We have three persons. So the first one is George Mahmood. In Rudyard Kipling, Crashman wrote, he said, love of animals, imagination about animals, the placing of the anthropomorphic words in their mouths is the prevalent wit of the English and the Jungle Books for that reason have brought joy and enthusiasm to many hearts. The second one is Rabson, in his introduction of the author's world classic edition of the Jungle Book, right in 1987. The thoughtful reader of the story is reminded from the time to time that not all the laws are natural laws, the eternal law ordained by God. Edmund Wilson, quoted by Andrew Rutherford, noted that after selling in the Burmese Kipling has published as many than 9 children's books. It is a if the natural human feeling progressively forced out of his work by the rigors of organization, for its now own sake were seeking relief in a reversion to childhood, when one has not yet become responsible for the way that the world is run. What is there enough to enjoy and to the wonder at what we don't know yet understand? Now we have the time, so we have Aesop inspired. So you remember Aesop, right? He's a great life who is credited with creating the whole bunch of fables, stories that usually contain animals, characters, and portray particular lesson or moral teaching. Well, Kipling took a page of Aesop's playbook when writing Rikki Tikki Tavi because the tone is totally fabulous. Now we are going to check out the moralist tone. So we had the sample of the book. The night at the dinner, walking to and fro among the witness glasses on the table, Rikki Tikki could have stuffed himself 3 times over with nice things, but he remembered not on Ghana. This was taken by page 38. So also Rikki Tikki could indulge in the finer things in life. He chooses not to because they will only slow him down in the battle or to come. The tone of the passage Lily suggests that this anti-gluttony attitude is one the reader should also take up when necessary. In fact, many aspects of Rikki Tikki's character, from his courage to his curiosity, are held up by the novel's tone as characteristics that is the reader's original Jones voice should emulate it. So, on the flip side are characters like a feather's brains, Darcy's. Rikki Tikki's complaint that Darcy doesn't know when to do the right thing at the right time is immense as much the reader is like the bears in page 69. So in this one, the author used a figurative language for help a reader picture to the serving characters and plot event of the story. The first one is a personification. In this one is applying the human quality to the numeric object. In this case, this is hunting. The second one is an onomatopoeia. In this one, the people can see the words that sound like those meaning. So in this one, we're gonna see read ticky 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 tick. When the reader can make an exercise to analyze this one. Finally, conclusion. Mowgli's stories were funny and kind of sad at the same time. His adventures with Baloo and Bagheera were hilarious, but there was always an undercurrent of something wrong beneath the surface. When Mowgli finally has to live in actual human village, we see the all too human struggle to fit in, to belong somewhere. Mowgli didn't fit in with the wolves because he was human too, and he didn't fit in with humans because he was too much of wolves. So this reading experience taught me that sometimes knowing anything about writer can help you enjoy his work more. I wasn't reading anything by Rudyard Kipling for so long because of we believe that almost missing out on something as amazing as the Jungle Book.